Hello and welcome to this edition of the Ward's Intelligence 6-Minute Webinars. I'm Haig Stoddard, Senior Industry Analyst with Ward's Intelligence. And today I'm going to look at how the merger of PSA and Fiat Chrysler somewhat shook up the global rankings among the top automakers. The merging of Fiat Chrysler and PSA into Stellantis shifted the global rankings among automakers, and though not a major change, consolidated more market share among a smaller number of corporate players. Prior to the merger, Fiat Chrysler and PSA were the 8th and ninth largest, respectively, in vehicle unit sales globally based on 2020 data. And going by 2020 volumes still, the new Stellantis becomes the 5th largest seller, nudging General Motors out of the top 5, pushing down Honda and Ford to the 7th and 8th slots, while at the same time moving Daimler up to 9th and letting China-based SAIC crack the top 10. The top 5 automakers now account for 50% of the global market, with each holding roughly between 8 and 12% market share. The next 5 companies to round out the top 10 account for just under 25% of the global market. And the next 10 in ranking after that hold a paltry, by comparison, 17%. In total, the top 20 accounted for 91% of sales in 2020, with the lowest ranked among that group each hovering around 1% of the market. It also means that the remaining 100 plus companies selling and making vehicles globally are battling over just 9% of the global market. How much more consolidation there might be among automakers has become more of a question now that it's considered a certainty the industry is destined to be dominated by electric propulsion. Investment in electric vehicles, not to mention automated vehicle technology and artificial intelligence in general, as well as the cost in the interim to maintain a certain level of efficiency with internal combustion engine equipped vehicles, means manufacturers will have to continue coughing up a lot of cash to stay viable. As someone who's always looking for indicators, I'll be looking for signals indicating not just who might weather more consolidation, but how much market share gets concentrated among the few at the high end, and particularly if the top 5 accumulate more. That led me to first look at the basics, which for me was how well each of the post-Stellantis top 5 cover the globe by market region. First off, for a point of reference, I graphed the global market spread of total light vehicle sales, using trade regions and selected groupings of countries as key markets. Areas of growth based on market spread from 2020 to 2025 shows not much change, although the Mercosur trade region in South America and what I've lumped into other, which is mainly Africa and the Middle East, will gain share. But the 3 primary global markets based on this split by far remain China, the USMCA or North America, and the combination of the European Union and European Free Trade Association, basically Europe. Looking where each of the top 5 stands geographically, the top seller in 2020, Toyota, has a strong presence in 3 regions, which accounted for a combined 71% of its volume. If it has a downside, it's that it's somewhat weak in Europe. Volkswagen is heavily dependent on just 2 regions. 78% of its sales came from China and Europe. It's lacking in North America. However, and not shown here graphically, is that Volkswagen is the market leader in both Europe and China. And although it's forecast to lose a share point, China is expected to record the highest growth in raw volume over the next 5 years of any region. VW feasibly could ride those 2 regions eventually to the number 1 slot globally, but North America does stick out. Renault, Nissan, Mitsubishi, or R&M, ranked 3rd in 2020, and based on its market share spread, might be best situated as a global player to take advantage of consolidation. And not only has a solid presence in the 3 primary markets, it also has a relatively strong presence in the Middle East and Africa, as well as India, Japan, South Korea. Like R&M, Hyundai, including its Kia subsidiary, is fairly well spread globally. Perhaps its weakness is its 12% mix in China, but it has enough foundation in China that any volume growth by it there could be a boon if it can hold up in other regions. Stellantis is in one way most vulnerable among the top five because it still has a lot of work to do merging the two parts. In terms of market coverage in 2020, 77% of its sales came from just two regions, Europe and North America. Only 2% of its mix came from China, meaning it's a very minor player in what is by far the largest market. So my thoughts briefly, solely from the point of view of global market coverage, the two companies that have a relatively good spread, R&M and Hyundai, would benefit all around from consolidation anywhere. As a number two seller, and despite being the leader in two of the biggest markets, Volkswagen ultimately still might make a push for a much stronger standing in North America. Toyota is somewhat weak in Europe, but as the top ranked automaker in global sales last year and doing well in three other regions, probably is relatively content to simply chip away at market share in Europe. Stellantis, consolidation as in less competition in Europe and North America would be a benefit, but it still would do itself well to beef up volume and earnings in China. That wraps up this version of the Ward's Intelligence 6-minute webinars. Please keep a watch on our website for future presentations in this series, and I hope you have a good day.